I've lived in Australia for over 10 years, but during the time, I've always gone back and forth to my home country in Central Asia. So, having that opportunity to interact with women from two completely different parts of the world, like literally two opposite ideologies, there are some really harsh truths that I've come to realize about female nature. And these things I never really see anyone talk about. All the sort of gurus I see, they only interact with either Muslim women or the white Western women. So I highly recommend you listen to the things I tell you in this video because they could very easily allow you to improve your game with females and also in the future allow you to maintain a happy relationship. Now, firstly, I can tell you 100% women are genuinely happier in traditional countries rather than in the West. And this is something that many people disagree with me. But this is statistically proven. And even if you go to two different countries, you're going to see that. You're going to see it with your own eyes. The funny thing is, all the women in the West, they advocate for this freedom, being liberated, being able to do what they want. But that literally makes them unhappy. But the reason they keep advocating for that is because women can't really think in the same way as you and me think. Like, if something is making me unhappy, I'm going to advocate against it, not for it, right? Same as you. But with women, they don't really care about that. They can't think like, statistically, it's making me happy at being living like this. No, they can only think, well, I think I'm independent because all the movies and all the news tell me I should be like that. And the reason I'm unhappy must be not because of that, but it must be because of the patriarchy. So I'm just going to take a whole bunch of pills and I'm just going to be depressed. And now, if the society doesn't treat me like a privileged person for being depressed, then it's everybody else's fault. So this is the common Western mentality. Whereas, if you go to a traditional country, the women there, they are treated almost like queens. Because the assumption is they can't really do anything for themselves. And ironically, just having this assumption that they're not as good as us at certain things makes us treat them like queens. There's gonna be a whole bunch of Muslim women who are going to disagree with me when I say these things. They're going to say, well, when I was in Pakistan, I was so miserable. All the women there are miserable. They are forced to be housewives. They're forced to do this. They're forced to do that. And I understand this because in some places like Pakistan, they do take it a bit too far because they force women to do things that it's not that they don't want to do it, but they don't want to do it for that specific man that they are forced to be with. So women want a traditional marriage. They want to be a traditional housewife. It's something that's biologically ingrained into them. The only thing is they don't want to be a traditional wife for a man they're not attracted to, who's a pussy. So the problem we are having in these traditional countries is that the men are demanding traditional women, but at the same time, the men themselves aren't traditional men. Sort of like the opposite problem that we are having in the West, if you think about it. So, with men who can't defend themselves, they don't have that ambition to build a mansion, to build an empire. Of course, women won't want to, cook for them or clean for them because they're not submitted to them mentally. And when they're being constantly forced to submit to that man by the society, they're going to get really pissed off. That's why all these hijabis are running wild out here, bruv. I work in a field where I talk to a lot of men and women over the phone, right? I'm trying to sell them things, basically. The women I talk to are so much more competent than men. The decision maker of every household I talk to is always the woman. Because when I'm trying to sell something to a woman, she's never gonna say, I need to talk to my partner. Very rarely she might, when she's just trying to get away from the call. But most of the time, they're just gonna buy it. Whereas when I talk to the men, I swear, wallahi, some of them told me word by word, I have to talk to the boss. She's the boss, bro, I can't do anything. So when you think about that, the women don't want to really be in that position. They don't want to be the decision maker in the house. The women that are the happiest are the ones who are married to some rich traditional man. Not like those sheikhs who have like 20 wives. I'm talking about where I'm from. There are men who are just normal. They have their own little side business. They are, family oriented, in a good shape. Why wouldn't their woman be happy with him? That man provides for her. He provides everything for her, makes all the decisions. But the last difference that I've noticed between Muslim women and normal women is that Muslim women, at least to a degree, they tend to put priorities over their emotions and wants and needs. This is probably the biggest distinction between us Muslims and non-Muslims. Because if we are in a family setting, we will do our best to make the relationship work because it's our priority in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Whereas the kuffar, when the marriage gets a bit shaky, they're going to only think about emotions. Because when something goes bad for me, the first thing I think is, what would Allah want me to do in this situation? What is the right thing to do? Should we keep the family going? Should we try to work it out? Or should we just leave it alone and let the kids be orphans? Whereas the white people, and I'm not trying to be racist here, a lot of them, their God is their feelings, bro. Astaghfirullah, but this is truth. When things go bad, the first thing they think about, what do I genuinely want to do? Like if they ask their friends, what is the advice they're going to give them? Well, just think about yourself, deep down, what do you want to do? And they were like, oh, I don't think I like him anymore. I don't think I love him anymore. So I'm just going to leave him and just forget about the kids. I'm just going to get half the house. Whereas in Muslim households, at least most normal ones like me, we're going to be like, all right, it is difficult. So I'm going to implement everything I can. I'm going to implement everything that Muslim Boris said on YouTube. And I'm going to try to make this work. You have so much faith in it. Plus Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is helping you. So you're going to make the marriage work one way or another. That's why most likely, most of the people who are watching this, their families are together. Because in Muslim household, we make it work no matter what.